Welcome to this Planon introduction video on lease accounting. As you know, the boards changed the standards into IFRS 16 and FASB ASC 842 for lease accounting, starting 2019, early adopters 2018. In this introduction video, I'd like to introduce our Planon software solution for lease accounting in 5 steps. First, the scoping. Which contracts in your lease contract portfolio should be included in the solution and are relevant for lease accounting. Second step, the data extraction. How to get the data out of your contracts, your automated sources, or even your contract portfolio into an automated system like Planon. Third step, the centralized contract management. Implementing a corporate lease accounting tool for the right calculations and the right reportings, both on corporate level and to your different affiliates. Fourth step, the lease accounting itself, all the details. The data points for IFRS 16 and FASB added to your contract data, the calculations, the accounting, and all the events during the life cycle, like a reassessment or an impairment. Fifth step, the lease reporting. The data you get out of the system to report on your balance sheet, the P&L impact, and the disclosures for your shareholders and stakeholders. The next step in the transition process is the implementation of the lease accounting software. What I will show you in our software solution is the registration of contracts, contract lines, lease component and non-lease components, the commitments that are generated in Planon and calculated, both in a scenario for a non-activated lease contract and in an activated lease contract. I'll show you the commitments, as we call them, cash flow, P&L, balance sheet data, over the life cycle of the contract, and I'll show the base postings, which are used to export to the financial system to generate journal entries into the general ledger. I just logged in as Terry Newman, my lease accounting administrator. In this role, you can see all the activities in Planon. Of course, we can authorize it so you can only see a limited data set or have limited role-specific functionality. I see my lease contracts here. Starting at my property portfolio, Mindforum in Germany contains my IFRS 16 contracts in this example. I can drill down from multiple levels. The different departments, for example, when you have your divisions, your different cost centers as updated by your financial system, the parties involved, lessor, lessees, and contract groups, like you would like to split your property, asset, and IT related lease contracts. If I drill down to the next level, I see the contracts. Here I have multiple contracts in multiple phases for the Mindforum. First one is not activated yet. You can see that based on the workflow, and if I show you the workflow, you can exactly see the steps in the contract. They all start in preparation, which means that all information is open and flexible, but you are able to report already on the impact on the P&L and the balance sheet for lease accounting, because all the calculations are there. Once you go to the next step, activated, the data will be frozen in Planon. That means secured, and only via a specific procedure you can have a modification on that. This is extremely important for your audit and the backwards audit trail, which I will show you later during this brief demo. You can see all the information here in the white fields. Later on they will be grayed out. On the next step, we'll have the contract lines. Like I said in one of the previous steps, Planon makes a split between the different contract amounts, lease and non-lease. So here I have my lease amount for the property and my non-lease amount, which will be just operational expenditure for my service charges. In my lease amount, I register a lot of data based on an import or a manual entry. Start with generic data, like the amount per month or per year, the duration of the contract. Information on the cash flow, is it paid in advance, yes or no, and information about the lease accounting, IFRS 16 or FASB ASC 842 data points, including general accounting details, which will be included in the export of the postings, generating journal entries into the general ledger. The type of accounting, FASB or IFRS, is it the current standard, IFRS 16, or the previous, IAS 17? We included transition methodology and some IFRS classification data. For FASB, we have specific fields for classification, of course, to determine operating lease or financial lease. Additional information is stored here, but Planon has flexibility in over 70 configurable fields to store additional data points, IFRS 16 or FASB related, or related to your own organization and your reporting structure. This amount is not activated yet, but I can also create a report, and I'll show you an example of one of the system reports out of the box in Planon Accelerator, which I make a preview into a PDF. You can see, click twice, you can see the report here. You see it's still inactive. It contains the main report and contract data, including a reasonable certain renewal option for this contract of another 5 years. The contract itself is 10 years, the option is another 5 years. If you go to the next page of the report, you can see the impact on the cash flow, on the P&L, and on the balance sheet, both right-of-use asset and liability at the beginning and the end of the period. We calculated, so we present this information for the entire life cycle of the lease. And you can see there's a rent-free period here in the first 6 months of the lease where there's no cash flow, but of course there's P&L impact and there's balance sheet impact. When we scroll through the contract, you can see the data. 22,500 euros a month paid, but if in time this changes because of indexation or because of a scope change, of course this amount will change and will be visualized in the report. We now look forward to the future. So for 10 years you can see the exact impact on P&L, balance sheet and cash flow. After 10 years you can see the payment stops. You can decide to have the extension period, the renewal period also on the report. In this report we decided to leave it out because the option hasn't been applied yet. But the calculation continues because the option is reasonably certain. In the end of the contract, after 15 years, we include with a graphical example of the situation, the rent-free period, the 10 years of payment, and of course for 15 years, the right of use and liability, including the depreciation. When we continue, you can see not only the amounts, but also the options, the termination options and the renewal option. And you've just seen in the report that the first renewal option has an additional term, so is reasonable certain. This is marked in the system. You can see disclosures, for example, which are reported. We have a report on quantitative and qualitative disclosures, and the qualitative disclosures will be included this way. Documents can be added also to the contract. This contract hasn't been activated yet. If we look to the overall list of contracts and we go to an activated contract, you see the data is grayed out and you can see more details. If I go to the amounts here and if I go to the lease amounts, exactly the same, we can go to the next step and we can see, for example, the impact on the cash flow. All the records shown in the report are also available for the payment. Same is for the lease accounting, where you see the opening balance information at the start of the contract, 1st of January 2017 here, right of use and liability. And during time, you'll see the P&L impact and you see the balance sheet information moving. During the life cycle of a contract, a lot of things can change. And once a contract is activated, it's only possible to have a modification, and a modification can be a scope change, it can be an impairment, it can be a change in the discount rate via a specific action, which is authorized and stored, of course, in the Planon database. So if we look to the amounts and we look to the changes, we can make a report of the contract life cycle, which is stored here, and the history of the contract. Every change is stored in time. So every additional information, every update, every system status change will be recorded. Who did it? When has it been done? What's the old value? What's the new value? Extremely important for your auditing process and being SOX compliant as an organization. At the end of the month, you can have a closure in Planon. It can be a trial closure, so you can report and see what the possible impact is if you do a closure, including the impact on the balance sheet and the cash flow. And it can be the real closure, of course, in the end. The closure will freeze the data and create a snapshot for reporting and auditing purposes. The closure will also generate postings based on the data for the P&L and the balance sheet. Those postings, which we call base postings in Planon, are created here. The postings can be used to export based on our standard export tools, including a lot of information related to the contract line, like, which I showed in the beginning, the cost center, the department, but also one of the additional financial dimensions we'd like to add based on the flexible and configurable Planon fields. The postings are exported to a financial system, enriched with data, and in the financial system they will generate journal entries into the general ledger for the final accounting of the information. It was a pleasure to show you our solution, which we designed and developed together with a Big Four accounting firm who also supported us in testing and validation, of course. We have a number of launching customers going live in January 2018 as early adopter with the new standard, who has gone through the process you are about to go through for the transition to IFRS 16 and FASB ASC 842. Our Planon accelerator concept, which you've seen during the demonstration part of the video, is a best practice out-of-the-box solution, which supports you in a fast implementation and a fast transition to the new standard. It comes with standard import tools for data import from automated sources or lease abstraction software, and it comes including standard data export tools for the postings to generate journal entries in your financial system. During the transition, we can support you together with our business partners, business integrators and system integrators, including Big Four accounting firms, to guarantee a smooth transition to the new standard also in your organization. If you'd like to know more about our solution, please contact us via planonsoftware.com or via one of our partners.